solo lanes, try to split the map, try to make your opponents have difficult decisions to deal with. So I'm already kind of liking what 100 Thieves is going towards, but I still don't think that should dissuade Immortals from that style of game plan. And with Seraphine, with Hecarim, you have go buttons, you have team fighting already in your first 2 picks.
And I've been a really big fan of Seraphine so far at this split. I think she is super duper strong. I'll be honest and say that I am shocked more teams are not playing more Seraphine. I understand this like believed meta is you have to play engage down in the support role. You need to play a tank up there, but Seraphine has engage and you can get your other melee champions into the fights. You just have to build other melee champs into your team comp. So Hecarim is there to make this happen, and now you've got, in my opinion, an overall stronger draft. So I'm a fan already, but Immortals have locked in. A lot's going in back and forth really, really quickly. Lucian picked up here for Pretty to be the answer to Damonte's Twisted Fate, and I think this is a good beginning to what could be an Immortals upset win.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to remember there is a possibility that Lucian could go to bot lane, but we are expecting to be mid lane, you know, pretty much only where you are seeing it these days in competitive. But I agree. I like this style of composition. I tend to agree with your point about the engaged supports. I do think you can go melee jungler. I do think that there are great tanks in the top lane right now. You do not have to go with this more strict ranged power farming style, you know, out of the jungle or even out of the top lane playing bruisers and fighters and whatnot. You can just go Malphite as we saw them do yesterday. Gnar getting banned out here. I think Volibear, we saw that in LEC, but we brought that out in a loss, I believe, but like that can work. You know, there are different approaches here. Even Ornn, I'm totally fine with. But of course, it is scary when you're Topoon and you're going up against Ssumday on a dominant pick. The Renekton plus Nidalee combo is very, very powerful. I don't think it's quite as good as the one with Taliyah, but it is still incredibly threatening. And Hecarim is not a strong early jungler, so you already know your jungler is not going to have priority. You already expect Closer to be invading Potluck, having pressure. So I could understand if Immortals don't want to go to just like an automatic lose lane style top laner, but I still think that might be their best chance. It's just kind of seed the lane, try to withstand the onslaught in the early game, and then make something happen later on. Because even if you go to like a carry here that's supposed to be a good matchup, well, with TF and Nidalee in your lane, it's not a 1v1.
True. All right, Leona going to be locked in. So Seraphine is going to be either playing farm bot lane, which I really think is very, very strong. Seraphine Leona is a really good lane. You've got a ton of CC. You've actually got pretty good damage overall. And I would not mind an AD carry with some self-peel. You're realistically not easily getting away from your FBI if you're something like Jhin or Ashe. Like, the skill shots are going to land on you, and it's going to be really tough. I would not mind something like a Xayah. Even a Sivir could kind of work with spell shield and whatnot, but Xayah going to come through. This gives some more directed engage to the team with Thresh off the table and Leona taken away. Rel's gone. You know, there's some kind of chances there. Do want to see now what the top laner is going to be here for Immortals. We did see Ivern top. It wasn't outstanding a little bit earlier this week, but who knows what's going to happen here in this one.
And Wonder did play it today and won. It didn't feel like he was really that much of a part of the game, to be honest with you, but it was in there. This is like the most 1v9 Lucian comp ever. This is really interesting. So I think it's Karma top is my assumption, that it will be Karma top to just kind of deal with the Renekton. I think that we are going to see the Moonstaff build from the Karma top just go straight up full-on team fight. This is the most group and fight style composition pretty much ever. No one wants to split push. No one wants to be in the side lanes. It's double enchanter. It's go button with the Leona, go button with the Hecarim, and everyone buffing up Lucian, who has got to have a good game now. Pretty must be strong to be amplified by these two enchanters and really kind of make it worthwhile. Yes, you could be buffing up Potluck there too, but it is low on damage if either Potluck or Pretty have a bad game. So their early game is important. On the other side, we have 1-3-1. We have early game dominance with the jungler, and we have, to your point, a great marksman for absorbing that engage, for Xayah ulting when the Hecarim ults in, to immune that fear, to avoid that fear and be able to pull the Pethers through. And obviously they have some good go buttons too. So they're going to try to be splitting the map, but I like what Immortals drafted here. I think it's super smart, you know, given the mismatch as far as team skill. You have a way to win very clearly here.
absolutely the case. And it's going to be fun to watch. And you know, apologies if I'm focusing a little bit much on the red side. I am a sucker for underdog victories. And so, like, there's part of it that, like, really wants to see if it can work. Again, I do think Seraphine's really good. To bring up Topoon up in the top lane over here with the Karma game, this is a guy who actually has played a lot of enchanters in the past. He's got 4 Soraka games all time. He's played Lulu over there. This is going to be his 3rd Karma game of pro play. And he's only had a few years of competitive play all down in the OPL. So, you know, a decent part of his champion pool is playing enchanters up top side to help things work well. And so this should be pretty comfortable. Now, am I expecting Ssumday to win the lane? Absolutely. We saw Ssumday play Renekton against Quinn, against Niles, and it looked easy for him. He went down 8-ish CS, and then every gank became a kill. And then he was winning for the rest of the game, and Niles was useless on the Quinn. Karma has a better fallback pattern than Quinn does, so even if we have the same situation of Ssumday lane kingdoming and closer showing up with the exact same Renekton Nidalee, there's at least a fallback pattern for Topoon. But yes, 100 Thieves are an outstanding team. They have one of the best junglers in the league, maybe the best top laner in the entire league. They have a mid laner, and you know their bot lane is one of the very best in the entire league as well. Like this is really good. They have a mid laner. I know. It's the, you know. It's the meme where you're like, Ssumday thank closer you know, and like to skip over. Either way, this is going to be a very fun match. Both team comps are very good. 100 Thieves are an outstanding team. They come in as favorites. They come in expecting to 2-0. Fans expect to 2-0. They've got champions that suit their players as well. And I want to see if it's even going to be that back-to-back 25-minute wins that people think coming in, or if Immortals, really Immortals Academy, 2-0 in Academy, sure, could surprise us and make this closer.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a banger. I'm excited for it. We've got some great casters and Phreak to cover the game. In we go. And already I like the clever level 1 here. It's not gonna amount to anything, but I like these types of plays. You know, Immortals is just doing a 4-mana stack over by their red buff, expecting an invade there. We do see that the level 1 W on Rakan, you can use this to go over, and then what you're trying to hope for there is you're actually catching someone camping out at the blue buff, right? And I think those types of invades are worthwhile. You mix those in, and it changes up how your opponents have to respond, how your opponents have to, you know, consider what you could be doing at level 1. In this game, nothing does really happen, but at the very least, they do get a ward over by that blue buff, so they'll be able to track Hecarim a little bit when he does come down towards that bottom side. But Hecarim is going to be starting leashless on his red, whereas Nidalee, who already has the much faster clear, is going to get a leash. So this is going to kind of slingshot closer quite a bit ahead of Potluck already, and I want to see if he can get anything done on this first clear. If he can try to steal away some camps, if he wants to try to invade early towards that blue buff perhaps, as they have a ward there.
I like the sort of T's crossed and I's dotted by Immortals here at the early game. Potluck drops his ward down early on in front of his red buff. Right as 130 comes around, Joey drops one down as well to make sure Nidalee's not doing red to blue. Red to invade blue, I should say, you know, doing that vertical jungling with the steal. So Potluck is okay. I'm going to be safe down here. I want to be level 3 and bottom side, right? Skip some of the slower camps. Wants to be available if there is a skirmish down there. I mean, Leona Rakan is very volatile. Xayah and Seraphine don't have escapes early on in the game. Pretty comes in, says, okay, we know what happened. We see late chickens. We know Closer's path. It was a full clear bottom side. Hey, by the way, Topoon, this means Closer's going to be up there in about 20 seconds. Get ready for that. Potluck doing smart things by, you know, blue and Gromp at the same time. So, you know, lot of smart things so far right now by Immortals. I mean, you expect them. They are professional players here. But right now, it's, hey, be careful, because Nidalee's going to be top 10 pretty soon, and that could be a big fight.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we'll have to see how Topoon is going to manage this wave, right? Because he did bounce the first wave. Now, ideally, I think he just wants to let the wave, you know, push against him, and then perhaps if it's a big stack wave, you have to be protected on the dive. But you need this wave to actually come out, and Ssumday has it frozen at pretty much the perfect spot because Topoon is in this spot where he wants to get it fully reset, but it's kind of stuck in this neutral position, and it means Topoon could be in trouble. But pretty, nice,
just out of range, not getting knocked up. Wow. I mean, that's pretty important. Damonte would kind of a hard time chasing through. One of the big things is Pretty has cleanse, so a flash gold card would never do anything. You would just cleanse perfectly and still get away. So ultimately, no play to be had, but now a fight in the top side, because Ssumday is going to set up here. Close is coming around. Topoon's going to find the root, but he's stunned. That's going to be a javelin coming in as well. There's no real need to flash pounce. I don't think you have lethal damage anyway, so Topoon gets away from the first gank of the game. Still a full 6 camp clear for Nidalee. Top scuttle available to be taken as Potluck takes the bottom side. And, you know, the first few ganks do not come through, but we are seeing 100 Thieves active on the map.
Yeah, and at the very least, they reset the wave, and they can actually zone Topoon off some of this. You can see that he's missing out on all that experience. We haven't engaged on this bottom side.
Good chunk of damage, but the root goes back through into Joey, and realistically, just so much durability. I mean, this is the power of Guardian Rakan, is you have double cast of E plus Guardian is, I want to say, about like 320 health in just the very early game, which really means that, you know, ability powerless chunks just don't do a whole lot. Top lane now actually in a weird spot as Topoon TP's back in. Closes nearby, but maybe can keep this lane in a spot where Ssumday will get denied. It's going to go into the turret. Topoon, I guess, unwilling to kind of tank that wave in front. Yeah, Ssumday may have TP'd back. He's still an ICS or two. Ultimately, they're just going to keep their farm going.
And if you know that the jungler could be up there, it's always risky because, you know, at that point, Ssumday has half health. You know, you can't burst him down as the Karma. But even if you just get stunned up by Renekton and speared by Nidalee and nothing else happens besides that, that's a big chunk on your health right after you TP'd back. So Topoon already pretty behind off of that initial play. You know, he did miss out on some of the experience as the wave crashed, and now the wave is again pushing away from him. This is, you know, a champion with a decent fallback pattern, as you were talking about, but he is Grasp Karma. He is going tier first. We'll see exactly where he does go after that. But for now, you want to be staying ahead in these Enchanter versus melee matchups because it can get to the point, you know, when they get some sustain on someone like this Renekton, where they're just sustaining through all your damage, they're ignoring everything you're doing, and then they have full control over the lane.
A little bit of damage there, the empowered Q. Ssumday still ahead overall. You can see CS is equal, but he's got an extra 7 CS to take in front of him, so we are still expecting Ssumday to win this lane. Par for the course, it's Ssumday. He's going to win basically every lane. Can't wait to see the Alphari games down the line. That's going to be a fun one, I think, in the future. But we've got Closer so incredibly active. Potluck is still in one camp, but Closer looking for a potential bot lane dive. TF coming in as well. 4v2 in the bottom lane. They find a slow. They're going to find the double knockup, and that's going to be first blood already to Closer. Huhi jumps out of the way. They're going to be just fine. Joey left alone. New gold card, new dive, new kill, new double kill. Beautifully done by 100 Thieves, and this is why everyone has him at the top of the table.
That was perfect. The double knockup from Huhi. As soon as that didn't get flashed, it just felt like Immortals was accepting their death. I think the call was there's no way we can actually get out of this. Keith doesn't use his heal. Neither of them use their flash. They accept their defeat, but it is the double kill going over to Closer. It's the early ultimate, highly effective here from Damonte. This was just perfectly done as they corral him into the corner here. Keith and Joey stacking up as they try to retreat, and Huhi finds that point blank double knockup. The gold card was already there. They tank up the tower. They realize they can redive, but they reset the aggro first, so Damonte can have it on him at range, not going to have any risk of getting killed off there in the redive, and that was just flawless from 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
They have a bot lane worth playing towards, and they're doing it to perfection.
Really beautiful stuff. So 1,600 gold lead to 100 Thieves so far, and it's probably going to grow from here. Top lane is already winning. Bot lane certainly going to be winning now. And hey, Closer got 2 kills, so 700 gold into his pockets. He's going to be bigger than Potluck. Going to win pretty much any duel thanks to the extra double amp tome on top of that one, and not a lot of plays going to be available. Keith is farming. His CS is okay.
And one thing I will say that is positive is, despite the fact that the double kill went to Nidalee, he's been ganking. Potluck did get a free level 6. So his experience has not really been set back whatsoever. Closer hasn't really done any counter jungling. He may do some now. But Potluck has just been comfortably farming. And the early game for Hecarim is pretty garbage. So, you know, in a lot of games in pro play, you'll see Hecarim in this type of matchup really kind of held back, having that level 6 delayed. So Potluck has gotten there. He's not going to win the skirmish, as you said, but come team fighting time, he'll have the ultimate online. He will have double enchanters behind him, and there is potential still for him to be very, very effective. But you know, Immortals are going to have to be able to even find those team fights because...
Might fight. Nope. Going to be Close picking it up. There could be a battle down here. The Ghost is popped by Potluck, but there's not going to be a battle. So Closer finally does get counter jungling in. Oh, gosh. Keith is pretty much out of this lane now. Yeah, you have to sidestep it. All right, he's going to stay alive, but... I mean, that is suddenly a wave you're going to lose under your turret as you walk slowly back in. Closer knows now that he can solo this Ocean Drake. No one's going to be around him anymore, and so more victories across the board for 100 Thieves.
And you have to remember that because there's no early dragons that have been taken from Immortals, they have limited ways to force 100 Thieves to actually come to them, right? You know, they're losing on the bottom side, their bot lane got dove, Nidalee is ahead with the double kill. So now we have to look 20 minutes into the future as the earliest possible soul that they could threaten, right? And that is a way that you can get 100 Thieves to come and actually 5v5 you, because 100 Thieves, they could take the first dragon or two and then just not group and not fight you at those dragons for the next 20 minutes while they split push you to death with the TF, with this Renekton that Ssumday is piloting. So Immortals are going to have to find a way to actually make 100 Thieves fight them, because they really don't have to.
Ooh, yeah, somebody who comes in the last second says, I might get killed here. Freddy flashed to get a couple more ult shots to land. That might have been the kill. So heal burn for safety. Top laners again trading back and forth. Ssumday pretty much equal in farm right here. So they're just going 0-0 on both sides. And this may work out in the end. Again, team fight power obviously can be very good for the Karma.
Yeah.
Look at the gold, 2.5.
I think Topoon's doing fine. He would be doing better had he not actually gotten ganked, right? It was Closer that kind of made the difference in that early laning phase. He's doing fine. You can see that the Rift Herald's just going to be soloed up. They know that they can't really contest on this top side. And one of the weaknesses of Seraphine plus Leona especially not at level 6, there's not a lot of threat of actually all-inning and killing off FBI, who has level 6 on the Xayah, who has the cleanse. So even if you landed that Seraphine ultimate, nothing really going to come from that. So it gives Huhi the ability to just kind of roam and move around the map and threaten on other sides, help set up that Rift Herald without really any cost. And as a result, they're having very efficient plays, and the gold lead is just expanding.
It is. And I'm also concerned about what the late game is going to look like here, as the two sort of mages on the Immortals team are going supportive build paths. It's either some mix of Imperial Mandate or Moonstone Renewer. I actually am a huge fan of Liandry's on farm Seraphine in the bot lane. And ultimately it's because there's just not a lot of overall magic damage on the Immortal squad. Yes, Karma does some. Yes, Seraphine does some, even if they go Moonstone. But it's not enough to change itemization, and it means if you get to armor stack on Ssumday, he likely just never dies.
Yeah, and we'll see if that does end up actually coming in. Traditionally, we're not seeing a lot of armor built up, by Renektons these days, but I do think, against this style of composition, it can be worth getting something like a Bramble and Tabbies at the very least. But I agree with you. It is a comp that is very AD heavy because of the builds, right? There is going to be some mixed damage in, but that's not really going to be the role that these guys are playing. They're going to be, using the ultimate on Karma to do the mantra shields, not really mantra Qs, generally speaking, in the team fights. And we're going to be seeing a lot of the empowered abilities spent more on utility generally from Keith, right? It's going to be the empowered shield. It's going to be the empowered root rather than just going for pure damage, both with the build and just the playstyle. So they will be pretty low on the AP damage, but I still think that their 5v5 is going to be pretty powerful, and there's a lot of squishy members over on 100 Thieves. So if they can execute on the team fight, if you get onto Nidalee or TF or even the Xayah, you can kill those guys off, I think, pretty simply. But it's just if 100 Thieves will ever give them a fight, because that is feeling more and more unlikely as the game is progressing. 100 Thieves have full control. They have a huge gold lead. They have the first dragon. They're taking the towers. And I think that the only time Immortals is going to get a 5v5 in this entire game is when 100 Thieves is so far ahead that they think there's no chance they can lose it.
And they get to start a Baron and turn when it's time, and Huhi just presses R and then W, and then they take the fight victory. So we've got a battle of this red buff right now as supports and junglers are here. Huhi and Close are going to look for this battle. 1 level lead. 400 Thieves means they might win this fight. Fight is going to be picked up. Here comes the engage. And TF over the top. It's going to be 3v3 pretty soon, though. He fears on the back line. Double stun comes across, and what is on the board for Immortals? Sadly, Joey has to secure the kill. That means the gold is not in the right places, but at least there is a death for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, they get the kill, and they got the TP as well as the ultimate out of TF there, I do believe. So it's not that cheap of a death for them. Nicely done from Immortals to be able to fight back a little bit in their jungle there. But Heart of the Thieves continues to march forward. No one up in the top lane right now to answer Ssumday, so some minions probably will be lost to the tower. They've already taken down the bottom tier 1. You can see that the mid tier 1 is getting poked at, and now the top probably going to lose a plate here to Ssumday, you would assume. The Mythics are coming through. Night Harvester done. Gale Force done as we watch this one more time. Closer does land the smite, and then they go for the engage knowing that they actually had TF back in the mid lane there, and Xayah is roaming up. But it is pretty coming across with what was, very effective culling. Potluck barely getting out, and the culling coming across on that lockdown target. Joey has been, I think, a pleasant surprise throughout the lock-in tournament. I think he's been really solid on the roams, playing well across a number of different engaged supports, and just locking up Damonte there for Pretty with the culling, and does end up taking him down.
Sure. But quietly, the gold lead is 4,000, with the second Drake being taken right now. Ssumday still doing completely fine in a mostly uninteracted lane. It's been a pretty much straight up one-on-one top side. Okay, they're turning equal, okay, whatever. Jungler side, Closer obviously got the double kill bot lane. He secured both dragons. He's now actually up 3 camps for Potluck, so well done to Closer. Yes, TF prints free gold, but he's also up 3 waves. Bot lane's up, some farm. And just overall, especially with all the plates being taken down, that Herald crashing bot lane, by the way, all that gold went to FBI. I mean, they're just rich, 1,400 gold, like almost half the lead, almost a third of the lead, just on the AD carry. And this Xayah is, easy going to take over. Not that he even needs to, because they're winning everywhere.
Yep, did get the benefit of that Rift Herald down on the bottom side to get him that tower gold, and that is definitely a concern. I talked about it in draft. When you go for these kind of buff up 1 or 2 carry style compositions, those carries have got to be worth buffing up to really get the most out of it, as they're looking for a dive potentially here on Topoon. But we're
going to miss a couple of CS down there, but yeah, we'll see if there's a dive. I mean, now with 3 of them there, it's going to be pretty easy. It's going to be the aggro pulled up, the flash in to guarantee it. Down he goes, easy pick up, and now Joey, nicely done by Closer, gets the blast plant in time, so Joey can't hop away, and Closer is on a killing spree, 3-0.
3-0, and they're going to be able to give another tower solo gold to FBI. He got the kill on the dive. They're leaving him up there to collect even more gold. Even if Pretty is getting buffed up by multiple members, with this type of a gold lead over on FBI, it may not matter. He's likely going to be more effective. He's nearly 2,000 gold ahead of the Immortals mid laner at this point. He is going to be insanely strong. The gold lead now 5.5k at 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Immortals with no dragons in sight. No way to force the 5v5 that they are building their composition for. At this point, it feels like you just kind of pray, maybe at the 3rd or the 4th dragon, that you win a fight and hope you can get something done from there. But 100 Thieves are just running around, controlling the map, controlling the pace of the game. Joey is trying to match this roam here, trying to defend his top laner that he knows may be dove, but their Immortals just don't have enough members up there. So 100 Thieves can leave 3 members to dive him with Closer on the side, zoning out any potential reinforcement. He gets the kill on one side, his team gets a kill in the tower on the other. Nicely done.
One thing you mentioned with the 5,000 gold lead, one thing I sort of realized recently when looking up a bunch of season-wide stats is very good players in farm lanes get about 400 gold per minute. Okay, hold on, we got a fight down here. It's Renekton taking some damage. By the way, he's got a Gore Drinker, he's got the W in Potluck. Doesn't get much done. Nice little attempt right there. Hold on, they're still scuffling, and I'll get back to the point. Looks like they're going to be safe yet again. So, a top performer on a top team, someone like, a Bjergsen or a Jensen or a Doublelift, gets about 400 gold per minute over the course of a season. So if 2 teams are 400 gold per minute apart, such as here, right, where it's 5k at 15 minutes, like 300 and change, that's a full player's worth of gold. Like, there's a 6th champion with items on their team. That's the difference. Sure, the extra Doublelift itself is not there, but that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that is pretty severe. This game is not close thus far. I'm just really curious of when Immortals are going to pull the trigger here. They are looking for Ssumday, but he is a tanky lad.
He is a tanky lad. He's going to get feared back, though, and this is a lot of damage. Gore Drinker heals onto 1. He's going to take some more shots, and he's going to go down. That's a nice pickup there. No stun to be landed. Immortals get back 1/10 the gold deficit.
It's nice, though. They get something back here, to be able to stem the bleeding somewhat. You can see, though, Damonte is up on the top side, pushing up there. FBI is pushing mid lane. 100 Thieves are playing the map. You're losing your jungle on the top side, so it's like, yes, you got a kill on bot side, but you're losing minions mid, you're losing minions top, you lost your jungle top. So the gold is probably, like, even at best for Immortals off of this, plus there is lost experience because you were not actually collecting all those minion deaths. So overall, the play is probably negative for Immortals, unfortunately, because of how well 100 Thieves are playing the map and pressuring on all sides. I'm going to be interested to see if Immortals are willing to actually fight at this next dragon, because while they did kill off Ssumday, he's going to have his ultimate back. It did cost Pretty his flash. We'll see if that's where they want to kind of try to make their mark on this game.
Well, right now you've got the wave being cleared to the mid side. 35 seconds until this dragon comes up. That's going to be the time we're really looking for here, as Keith has okay wave clear on Seraphine, but this is still going to be a bit of a siege. FBI does not want to burn his ultimate. Trading ult for ult with Joey would, I think, generally be kind of a negative. You want to kind of hold on to that one a bit longer for the big dragon, so play it a bit safely, make sure you stay out of range, and we're going to have the play come in pretty soon as Herald is summoned because there's not much else to do. You might as well get that last little bit of pressure towards the mid lane, maybe get the wave down just in time so that if they don't want to lose their turret, they've got to stay. Otherwise, 500 gold goes in, and the dragon goes in afterwards anyway.
Yeah, and you can see that Topoon is going to have to actually TP to mid lane here. He was trying to answer that top wave, but they lose their mid lane tower. They're losing minions in bot because that was pushed in by Ssumday. 100 Thieves are just out macroing them and now looking for the fight potentially.
Joey stunned. Ult goes off on a 2 from Seraphine. Here comes the dive into the back line. A big shot comes in. They shut down one. This is the comp they want, and now it's time for the healing. Can they drain tank the entirety of 100 Thieves? And so far, so good. They one-shot one, and the health bars go back up. This is the value of the Renewer builds. It is less burst, but it is going to top your health bars if you get the one shot anyway. And Closer could not get a stopwatch off, could not stay alive. 1-3-0, and Azael, you called it. They did go for the dragon, and it worked out.
That was huge for Immortals. They absolutely needed to win that fight to stand a chance in this game. They are still very far behind, but that does give you that glimmer of hope that maybe every 5 minutes you show up to Dragon and you win a fight like that. So Joey unfortunately going to get picked off here, looks like. Maybe not.
Yeah. Okay, gonna get away, but now Potluck is back in for Ssumday. Finds some damage team over the top, though. Is it gonna be enough? Ssumday, fairly tanky, but durable enough as Potluck goes down. Damonte is huge. Lichbane's in, gets the burst.
Yeah, nicely done by Damonte, backing them up. It looked like Immortals might have been able to chase them out. And now with that kill on Potluck, it could be time to head over towards that Baron. There's a lot of pings there. It is just 20 minutes, but they're TPing in, so they're committing to the 20-minute Baron here. Immortals absolutely must stop this from going down, and we'll see if they can do it because, you know, we may just see Huhi look for the turn. He doesn't have his ultimate, but he does have Flash W.
Controller comes down to spot this. The Baron getting lower and lower, still pushing it down. Of course, Potluck cannot be here, so when does the engage happen? When can they land the CC? Is that 3K? That's a bit too much. Charm goes off onto only one. They dive the back line, can't find the kill just yet. Huhi stays alive. Keith gets the shield back on. They're going to keep healing, but Joey should be going down. 2K left. Trying to go closer. He smites for health. He smites for health. Can it be a steal? It is not. It's going to be a whitewash. It is a complete slaughter as the kills come through, and the last hit comes through onto Baron. Potluck can only walk in and say, hey, where'd my team go? Corpses all around.
That was a little bit of a risky play there from 100 Thieves, you have to say. Going for the 20-minute Baron in the face of your opponents, Closer having to smite for health. Multiple members with almost no HP remaining. I don't think they needed to force this hard. They probably could have just pulled off and actually turned for the fight. Because look at Closer. He actually gets stunned up there. And I think that if Immortals committed a little bit more to killing off Closer after this Zonies, maybe they can make something happen, but they just couldn't get past, or at least didn't commit enough to getting past here. Topoon flashed in, tried to finish off Closer, but he heals through that damage, and then Pretty is not there in the pit to follow up. They couldn't finish him off. They couldn't finish off the Baron. I mean, at the end of the day, Damonte barely lived to that Baron damage. Closer actually died to the Baron. And it was down to anyone who auto-attacked it could have actually taken it there at the very end. So very risky stuff from 100 Thieves, you know, with an enormous lead. But with that, they've all but secured the game. I mean, they are just so enormously ahead at this point. 8,000 gold lead. They have the Red Bull Baron. They have all their item completions coming through. Most of their members are at 2+ items now at this point. And it feels pretty impossible for Immortals to come back at this point.
It is a best of 3 here in the quarterfinals. Not only do we have this match today, but the one right afterwards as well. So stay tuned. Even if this one ends, we've got more games to play. But game 1 of this BO3 is very decidedly going towards 100 Thieves. It's almost like 1,000 with the line break, the way you can see that up there in the top left corner. It's just, you know, as though there's like bad CSS and just word wraps over. But either way, Immortals are going to do their best to hold on. We did see their fights earlier. They've got their double Moonstaffs in as well. So I know people love Moonstaff. It's a very good item. The move speed's outstanding, but you really don't love AP on Lucian or Hecarim. Though it probably still is correct, it's going to feel a little weird because you're not getting full value out of those stats. Bot lane being pushed in. FBI going to try to get that down to half HP. Waiting for the siege to continue on. Still 50 seconds on this Baron.
They're looking for the sick AP Leona ults. That's what they're going for. You know, we all saw the Silas stealing the Leona ult at Worlds and getting that massive Leona ultimate, so that's what they're going for here. But 100 Thieves, I think, just really had an intelligent draft, especially into what I was expecting from Immortals and what Immortals showed with the first couple picks. They have the ability to play the map. They're looking for an engage here.
He has a Zonius, though he cannot easily die. Here comes the knockouts back and forth. The Charm's going to go across. Good Zonius by closer stays alive. Huhi going to get away. The stun is too early from Joey, but he flashes anyway. So Potluck's on the way out. The re-engage comes across, and down goes Keith. Down goes Joey. Down goes Potluck. 3 for 0, and all Topoon can do is run away. But he's been gold carded. He's going to be stunned up, knocked into the air. Damonte is on a killing spree. 13-5 the scoreline. And Pretty is going to hope he can keep his face that way, because certainly he's not going to win any battles here. Damonte goes to put a punch into him, and that's going to be him running back away. The Nexus is opened with the turrets only. Inhibitor is gone. Lucian has to run away. Little quizzical Gromp, and yeah, it's game over. It is, in fact, a sub-25-minute victory. The time I think we all expected. Game 1 goes to 100 Thieves. We'll see how it turns around in Game 2.
100 Thieves absolutely dominating in this first one. And what was that final fight of the game? Pretty wasn't even there with them, so they're hard committed to that fight. They felt like they needed to try to get the pick on closer. I don't blame you in that situation. You are so far down, you must get some type of a pick to survive that Baron. So they took their swing. They did get one team fight where they were able to win that one team fight and get the dragon, but that was pretty much the lone bright spot for Immortals the entire game. 100 Thieves outlaned them, they out-macroed them, they moved around the map better. They really kind of just outthought them, I think, with the composition, and just straight up outplayed them. This was not a close one. I really liked the 100 Thieves draft. I think Immortals made a lot of sense. I like their draft too for what you're working with. You are just somewhat outclassed by your opponent here. It's an academy team versus one of the best LCS teams, so you want to go simple, you want to go easy to execute, but at the end of the day, when your opponents are that much stronger and are drafting an answer to it, it's really, really tough. There's just not a lot of ways to beat a team that is playing that much better than you.
Yeah, and hey, you know, top lane equal, mid lane, the farm was pretty close, but there was a level 6 dive in the bot lane with Twisted Fate and Nidalee timing their push together for the 4v2 dive. And okay, yeah, a better team maybe scouts us out a bit more. There were some control wards, but no one was ready to answer it in time. And, well, that's double kill in the bot lane. Okay, well, there's no more bot pressure, so dragons are stacking. So you can't force team fights. So where's your way in? Because you don't have any control over bot lane anymore. It's certainly, again, a very well-played game by 100 Thieves, 1-0. And people are expecting that Game 2 goes pretty much the same way. I still liked what I saw out of Immortals. They are an academy team. They had a 2-0 start. They even beat 100 Thieves Academy themselves recently enough. So, hey, you know, they are kind of clawing their way up. But, yeah, it's a lot of growth to go. Sure, a lot of these players have had a lot of experience. I mean, Keith's been playing for years. Pretty's been playing in the Tier 2 European scene for 5 years now and making his way over to North America and going to, you know, kind of competing up on here as well. So, you know, I am curious how much more growth there are for these players, but there's a really good chance that before too long we're saying, all right, see you week 1 of the spring split. Hope you got your full roster together.
Yeah, and they are still waiting for that. I believe it is Xayah that they are missing. You know, they did tweet that they have 4 out of their 5 intended starting roster for LCS, but those guys are going to be practicing separately, you know, trying to get ready for LCS, trying to get in shape for the spring split start. So they were going to play their academy team for lock-in. We'll see if they can turn anything around in Game 2. Going to be interested to see what the adaptations are in draft.
Will be fun to watch for, so we'll see you pretty soon after the break. The State Farm Analyst Desk will break down that win for 100 Thieves.